Hey guys, it's Mike from Chess Lifestyle, and today we are going to continue with looking at some of Polugaevsky's Benoni games. I mean, we got through 4 of them last stream, and we're going to take a look at another 4 this stream. I got back from Cameron Highlands earlier today, and it was like a long, like 5 hour bus journey. So I had chess lessons to teach as well, so I'm pretty tired. We're probably not going to go over our training limit today. But yeah, let's take a look at these games. So let me get this up. Oh, one thing I will show you very briefly is that I was going to show you some of my own photos that I took, but they're not synced with Google Photos, and it would take me too long to sort that out. So this is just one I grabbed from Google Images, but it's honestly so lush, to walk around Cameron Highlands, and it really does look like this. I mean, basically the weird kind of almost felt looking hilly surfaces are the actual tea plantations. So they're like tea farms, and yeah, obviously the tea just tastes really strong when you're there. So I think I was kind of on a caffeine kind of intense dosage these last few days. But no, it was very cool. And yeah, if you ever visit Kuala Lumpur or anywhere in Malaysia for that matter, I would definitely certainly pay a visit. I think it's well worth doing. But yeah, let's actually take a look at these Benoni games now, and learn from Polugaevsky. So also welcome to Space Lee to the stream. Yes, this is in Malaysia, indeed. It's around a 5-hour bus journey away from Kuala Lumpur. So what I did was I took a 3-hour journey to Ipoh, this interesting city north of Kuala Lumpur, and then a 2-hour journey to Cameron Highlands to kind of split up the journey. I think that's nicer than just doing the whole 5 hours in one go. It was a bit brutal on the way home, and also because it's on a mountain, right? The coach was doing all these zigzags, and someone threw up a few seats away from me. It was rough, but it's still worth to visit. So yeah, let's actually talk chess now. So Polugaevsky, why are we even bothering to study his games? Who is this lad? And the reason why is because Polugaevsky was one of the top players of his time. He was competing a lot back in the 1950s kind of era. And Polugaevsky never became a world champion, but he became close, and he was a full-time chess professional. And he trained 16 hours a day. Chess was his life. All he did was analyzing game after game. And what that meant was actually his analysis was very, very top-notch. Despite being so old-fashioned, you'll see that a lot of his games actually play like an engine. And it's actually Kasparov who said, looking back at Polugaevsky, he said 2 things. The first thing that, Polugaevsky didn't make world champion because he didn't play enough mainline openings, which I can completely, fully sympathize with him about. I don't have enough years in my life to play Roy Lopez like a world champion, so may as well settle on something a bit easier to manage when deciding what to study, opening-wise. Which is kind of similar to what Polugaevsky kind of did with his opening choices. And secondly, Kasparov said, Polugaevsky just was too much of an overthinker. And as much as that is useful in analysis, which is what we're looking at here, it's not so useful in the actual game, right? If you're, overthinking way too much and, tanking on certain moves you shouldn't be tanking, then this is going to obviously cost you results, right? So, this Polugaevsky guy is definitely worth checking out, and the good news for me personally is that he's played a bunch of games in the Benoni, and that's what I want to take a look at today. I've got 4 more games to look through, and then we've completed all of Polugaevsky's Benoni games, at least the ones I can find in the database. Also, welcome SQC to the stream. Caught you early? Yes. Well, it's kind of evening for me, but I'm glad you can join in. So let's take a look and learn from one of the best chess analyzers of the last century, right? So let's take a look. Also, it's thundering outside. I don't know if you can hear like a lot of noise, but I think it should be fine. So let's have a look. So we get up Benoni, and knight f3 is played. G6, always played G6, and now this is the moment where white has a bunch of different options, right? They can play with bishop f4, bishop g5, g3, e4, lots of different moves. So, okay, white plays e4. Now, modern theory dictates that the best way to play is with a6, provoke to move a4, and then trade off this minor piece with bishop g4. This is the way I play it. I really think this is the best way. And as a Benoni player, you must always be careful. Do not play bishop g4 here, because since you haven't inserted these moves, white can play queen a4, and then play the move knight d2. And your bishop actually gets stranded out here with f3 coming, g4, and then you're going to lose your bishop. So don't make that mistake. But here we see bishop g7, which to me is slightly inaccurate, because now white can play bishop e2, and if you try and play these ideas a move too late, white can play knight d2, and although you do trade a minor piece, this is actually a bit uncomfortable. White gets a very fast knight c4, and I'm not a fan of this. So I think a6 is much better here. But okay, we gotta appreciate the fact that Polugaevsky played this like 80 years ago. So you can't understand everything, right? And white played the move bishop f4, which is quite interesting. Nowadays, bishop f4 is more of a move that you see at this moment, with the idea that you play for e3 instead. You play h3 here and e3, and this position is quite hot right now as a trendy line. But this bishop f4 with e4, it's supposedly not great, but it's also not bad. And it can get very, very hairy for black. So let's imagine actually that I get this position through a different move order. Let's say bishop f4, a6, a4, bishop g7, and they play e4 here. Like, I could get this in a game. So what would I play here? Let me try and think. What would I actually do if someone played this against me over the board? My instinct here is to castle. I mean, I'm a tiny bit afraid of this immediate e5 push. So if I'm afraid of this, then maybe also bishop g4 feels like a decent remedy to this. Because if bishop g4 and they try and go for this e5 immediately, I don't know. Somehow feels slightly wrong. Can I get away with taking this maybe? What would I actually play in a game? Let's force myself to make a move here. I would castle. I think I would just castle. Bishop g4 somehow feels wrong. I'd rather castle, and if e5, maybe I've got options of rook e8 as well. Like, castling has to be right here. So let's have a look. So engine actually gives bishop g4 and castles as the top move, so I'm glad to see that. If castles, yeah, e5 I doubt is going to be a problem. Yeah, rook e8 is completely fine. And we're already taking over. Let's just check what happens if bishop g4, e5. Also no good here. Knight h5 is the move. Interesting. So kind of exploiting this bishop where h3 hasn't been played. Right, and here we actually win the pawn. Okay, that's a cool motif to know. Like, move this knight out with tempo and then pick up this pawn. Okay, good to see. So in the game, we have e4, bishop g7, bishop f4, castles. Fair enough. And here we get the surprising b5, and this is a very, very cool idea. That if the knight were to take, then we can take in the center, and this always just equalizes. Like, this almost always equalizes. I'm never like the biggest fan of this move, because an equal game isn't exactly what I want. And yeah, it kind of kills the play for both sides. Like, suddenly white doesn't have the e5 push, and suddenly black doesn't have as easy of a time like pushing on the queen side, but we do get this open file. So I think it's kind of like the better side of equality for black with this trait. But what I'm curious about is, why can't they take with the bishop? If they take with the bishop here, what could Polugaevsky's idea be? Maybe the idea is, if bishop takes, because we've castled now, we're in time to play like the move knight takes e4. And if knight takes, maybe we want to go queen e7. And if they try and defend, play f5 and try and pick up this knight, maybe that's the idea. That's the only idea I can imagine here working, like this. But it kind of begs the question, like, if this is an option, why even play b5? Like at this moment, oh, we need b5 to move the bishop out of the way of the king, right? If we take this now, we're just losing. They can just move back, right? We just lose a piece. So I think this must be the motif. But yeah, welcome Faz to the stream. I played my classical game last night, league match. Oh, exciting! How did it go? And yeah, what's the current league standings in Loughborough? I haven't tuned in at all. Yeah, I should probably check on how. You know what? I'll just open it up now and just make a note to have a look a bit later. But yeah. Oh, Queen e7, Queen e2. Aha, I see. Interesting, Josh. Yeah, no, it's a little bit loud, but it's chill. From the safety of this building. So yeah. Yeah, so let's have a look. Actually, let's solve Faz's question. Actually, so bishop b5, knight e4, knight e4, queen e7, queen e2. Oh, yikes! That's not good, because now the pin is broken and the knight is defended. That's a very, very nice move. So actually, what is the point then? Bishop takes b5. Because we can't play rook e8 ideas because the piece is hanging here. Ah, what about bishop takes b5, knight e4? If knight e4, queen a5 check, the only move to keep defending the bishop and avoid check is to go knight c3, and then we can we can trade off our strong g7 bishop and pick up the knight. Don't know if I like that. But at the same time, okay, the queen cuts off the king. They can't take this pawn because we've got some check ideas. Maybe this is alright. So to show people what I was looking at this idea. Give a check like this, and then take, and then try and get this king. So let's have a look with engine. So here, if bishop takes, yeah, this is what I said, right? This move is almost always an equalizing move, and actually this is the slightly better side of equality for black, right? Like minus 0.1. So if bishop b5, knight e4, knight e4, yeah, queen a5. Okay, nice. So we got there. And yeah, the king is in a bit of trouble here. So instead we see the move bishop takes d6. A very bold decision. The point being is if queen takes, then they give the fork. But to me, I feel like that's an asset for black if black is able to keep these two pawns. Because you're going to have to take on f6, ruining these pawns. And if you're not able to take this pawn, I really wouldn't like this. Because I feel like this pawn is kind of weakened, right? Now, if you take here, what is the problem? I guess the same, bishop takes, and we take here, and again, the king cannot castle. If the knight takes, I mean, that just looks pretty dodgy to me. Maybe we can take on b2. How does that go, actually? If we take on b2, the rook moves. Trying to make like queen a5 check work, but they can probably block queen d2. So what are we actually playing here? Also, it's very exciting. Let me give you guys some chess updates. So I mentioned last non-chess stream that I'd be playing Mr. Dodgy. So that's confirmed. I'm going to be playing him in a couple weeks. Before that match, I will be playing a Rapid Open and a Team Rapid Open on consecutive days. Not this weekend, but next weekend. I will probably get a match sorted out with Stephen Willie, a new FM from the US. So I'm very excited to get some... we're going to play some Rapid games as some practice for my tournaments. And I will hopefully get a game with Yevgeny as well, a 90 plus 30 game. And Yevgeny most recently won a tournament in Scotland. So some very, very tough opponents this month and looking forward to it all. So That's going to be cool. But, okay. First of all, knight takes b5. Why can't this be played? What could the idea be? I mean, I'm looking at bishop a6 ideas. Okay, let's solve this like a tactic, right? What checks do we have? What captures do we have? What threats do we have? So queen a5 check is the only check. Captures, we can sack our queen, not to be advised, take on b2. Any threats? Bishop a6, I guess, is a threat. Maybe a6 is a threat, because then we can come down and take on b2 with the queen after. Okay, so let's go through them one by one. So queen a5, queen d2 seems decent enough. If we take, they take back with the knight and remain, keep the ability to castle. I'd be very, very worried about ideas of like rook e8 given knight c7 is on the cards as well. So yeah, like I think in this position, how does this one go? If they play this, maybe queen a5, queen d2. Now I take, knight takes. I'm not fully convinced, to be honest. It is a pawn for a pawn, but I don't see, this pawn structure being anything significant for black. If anything, I would even prefer white. I guess the other factor is that black's got the bishop pair, so maybe in that position black is slightly better. What about this a6 move? If the knight has to go back to c3 and we take on b2, there's a tempo on the knight. That's not good enough. We'd have to move the knight somewhere. Oh, and then we can win the rook. Oh, that's probably it then. a6 is probably just really strong, right? What else can white play? White can't go anywhere else. If they come here, we just go take. And how do we deal with this? Because if the knight moves, we have a double attack, like, on this rook, right? So I think it's a6. If knight takes, let's go. Let's look at his calculation skills. And this is why you need to calculate these positions like tactics, because I mean a6 wasn't even in my intuition, and only after looking at all my forcing moves did I find this idea, and then queen b2. Ah, interesting. So knight a3 is better because then you got knight c2 to protect the rook. But I guess it's still pretty ugly. Like this bishop check, knight d2, rook d8. Yeah, this pawn is not going to survive. This looks really nice. If we can get away with all of this. Rook b1, I guess we can take the pawn. Taking the pawn is fine, and even this is even better. Right, if they take with the king, then probably this is going to be a downfall. So yeah, this looks really good. Okay, I'm glad we found a6. Loughborough won 4-1 against Marcus Harborough. Fantastic. Is Marcus Harborough, why do I say Marcus? Market. Is Market Harborough the team that had beef with me? Or is that a different team? I think Market Harborough was the team that had beef with me, so I'm glad Loughborough won. Like, yeah, screw that team. Not all of the players. Some of the players were very, very cool. Some of the players just cancerous. So yeah, screw them. So yeah, in this position, castles. Also, yeah, no challenges in this stream. I'm training, so yeah, fun and games can come another time. So black plays a6, bishop b7. I think black's got a fantastic position. Just simply develops all their pieces, develops their rook, develops the other rook. Cannot fault this play whatsoever. Bishop d4, yeah, why not? Improves the knight. I'd probably take on f3. Comes with check. We have the bishop pair. Just got to open up the position more and more. Now c4 is an interesting decision given b3 can try and undermine it. c4 is quite a brave move to play here. Somehow I feel like I'd want to improve my position even more, but maybe Polugaevsky felt that the position's improved enough. I don't know, maybe I'd play some improving moves like h6 and king h7 if that can be argued that my king is safer here. Maybe it's not, given this diagonal. But somehow I want to get my king off the back rank. Maybe I'd even want to double on this file somehow. Like rook d7 and rook d8. Let's see, is c4 really the top move here? Yeah, looks like we're already wanting to play somewhat dynamically. Interesting. What if we play a move like h6? Do they have like a clear plan? No, they make improving moves too. They're gonna play b3 and just say that there's not enough here for us to do anything. Knight e4, so they do have a plan. They have a plan on this pawn. I see. So actually, maybe because this is actually slightly weak, we do need to do something about it. And now I'm appreciating why maybe this little shimmy by the engine, bishop h6, bishop f8, support c5, slow down white's pressure. And if white has no plan, then maybe we can make some improving moves then, or continue with our own plan. But yeah, c4, okay, fair enough. I'm surprised again white isn't wanting to, like take here. Maybe the point is we'll take with the queen, right? What are you guys thinking? Like take with the pawn or take with the queen? I think taking with the queen is best. Let's imagine that in this position they took. Yeah, queen is what I had in mind. And I feel like this is good because now the a2 pawn is like a target. If we can win it, then these pawns will be pretty strong. And I guess in a way, the c pawn was our weakness, right? Like they had their pressure on the c file with knight e4 incoming. If we get rid of the weakness, probably this pawn is harder to break down. Like if they ever push a4, we can push b4, a5, and get this protected passer. So that kind of makes some sense. Now here I would definitely consider taking this pawn. I'm surprised this isn't what was played. Oh, and it's not good at all. Huh. I thought this looked similar to what we had. I guess maybe the difference being is that now white is actually trying to prepare a4 and we don't have this b4 push. So maybe this is like getting this structure in like unfavorable circumstances. So okay. Basically, oh, he allows us now. Rook d3. Wow, and we get the trade of his bishop. Insane. I guess to win a pawn. And he's felt that, this is still like more than good enough. I mean, like trading this bishop is generally not advised, but if we've already gotten rid of that dark squared bishop, these dark squares aren't going to be so weak. Like this knight isn't very well coordinated to like attack these weak dark squares, so it's probably fair. Rook d3, interesting. This knight is kind of annoying. Although now it gets pinned. Oh, now some tactics. Yeah, this is the kind of position and complications I wouldn't have wanted to allow, but I guess couldn't be avoided somehow. So we get this big trade, we get this queen endgame, and okay, without looking at the moves on the right for a second, how would I play this? So, equal number of pawns, but we're the one who's going to get a passed pawn. Definitely I fancy our chances more. Their king is not in front of the pawn, so that's a good news for us. In general, we would want to bring our king towards our passer and try and get on the same rank as the enemy king to increase chances where we can block a check while simultaneously checking them and trade the queens. But the difference here is that that rule might be a bit void because the king is actually going to be able to hide behind their pawns. So objectively speaking, this should be equal, except for the fact, of course, we're about to win a pawn, protecting this pawn. So actually, we're not just one pawn back, one pawn up, we're going to be two. And even if they can win this pawn, I mean, we've got these two connected passed pawns. I feel like we have very good winning chances. I mean, I don't feel like white would be able to make a perpetual if we take this pawn. I mean, like, we're going to be able to run back to these pawns, and if white spends a tempo taking here, then somehow I feel like we still have this pawn to take shelter. I think it's going to be okay. So that's my feeling. I feel like black's got decent winning chances here. Let's see what Engine thinks as well. Yeah, Engine is going to go ahead and give it, like, close to draw with best play, but also not easy to play either. So white goes for the perpetual idea. Black indeed brings his king out towards his pawns, as he should. And we get to make this block. Oh, we get a little perpet. Was that not freefold? Am I tripping? So this position once. Twice. No, not 3 times. Okay. So he moves the king. Avoids the free fold. Wow, this is like some grindy stuff. And how did he get away with avoiding this check? If he gives the check here, I guess this is the point. Are we avoiding the check somehow? Like, why is this not like a perpetual here? Yeah, queen c3. Why would you play queen e6 here? Queen c2, queen e1. Queen c3, king b1. Oh, and this isn't a perpetual? King c2. Queen c5, and you escape. Nice. So yeah, bringing the queen closer to your own queen with pawns, you just like have better chances of avoiding a perpet. So that's good. Oh, I realized that I haven't got the time on for this. Timer. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. I want the countdown. Oh, I'm not gonna get countdown. Wait. Okay, let me think about this. Players clocks. Let me go back to this. Let me get rid of this Lichess logo. Add players clocks here. Yeah, that's gonna be better. I could explain what I'm doing, but it's really not worth your time. Let me get this. Player clocks. Okay. Oh, is it gonna do that? Are you serious? It's not gonna crop it for me. Okay, let's try our best. This is gonna save some hassle down the line. So let's do this, and make this as small as we can, while being able to squeeze it at the bottom here. Okay, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna do. Let's go with that. And then, of course, we need to move the Lichess logo back, which serves absolutely no purpose. And then we get the timer as well. So 22 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so basically there's no perpet. I hope that looks alright. Now you guys get the engine when I turn on the engine, which might be quite nice. Yeah, so basically black starts to get this pawn rolling. Yeah, and it manages to avoid the perpetual just about. And the further this pawn gets down the board, of course, the higher chance you have of winning. And in the end, manages to avoid all the checks, I guess. Actually, let's just try and work this out. What happens if they give the only check here? I guess we go here. And there are no more checks. So Cesar Munoz decided to call it a day. So what can we learn from this game? Well, first of all, that our Benoni instincts in this position here, which was kind of similar to the game, were correct. Like basically castling or playing bishop g4. Both of these moves were fine, so that's reassuring. We revised some like Benoni tactics here with like queen a5 kind of ideas. And found this a6, which was a good calculation exercise. Yeah, and we found that this idea of pushing e5 is probably not as good as it looks. Like they lose their central pawns, and actually they had problems grabbing on b5. And I guess one interesting thing we saw as well from this game was that actually White had some ideas of pressuring c5, which meant that we needed to initiate the move c4 a bit sooner. Which is interesting because maybe if c trades for b, actually that removes a weakness for us. But in the end, they did take, and we got this structure, and we won a pawn, but still very tricky to convert, as chess always is. And yeah, White found some nice ways to make counterplay. So I wonder if this was actually precise to grab the pawn like this. Probably not. Oh, it actually is. Wow. So Polugaevsky playing like an engine once again. And here queen d6. Interesting. Oh, rook d1 here. Oh, rook d1 is very cute because after rook takes, queen takes, we keep tabs on preventing this knight from activating, which kind of led to some of the problems, right? So queen d7 actually gave up the advantage after this very, very strong knight e5. I have a feeling that Polugaevsky probably missed this resource of knight takes f7. Although apparently actually there are other equalizing moves. So maybe, yeah, knight g4, look at that. Wow. Look at these dark squares. I would not want to play black here. This would be very scary. Which is why it's always like, difficult to, use an engine to understand best play, right? Because bishop c3 is fine for an engine if they see all the ways to play. But you can see that there are many other moves that keep an advantage, and maybe these are just better, right? Why give any chance of your opponent rerouting? And it's good to see that this is a possible reroute. I missed how quickly white can actually try and target these dark squares. So maybe I don't know, rook d7 or something. Why panic and go for this immediately? We can do this at any point, right? Why not prepare this? Knight d2. Maybe queen c5. Knight f1. Okay, this pawn is maybe hanging as well. Yeah, it looks like there are other ways to play it. So good to see that, yeah, maybe losing this bishop is perhaps dodgy, but also playable. Had black found the most precise way to continue. Yeah, this gets a little bit hairy. But, okay, credit where it's due. Fair play to Lev for converting this endgame. And yeah, interesting. So this is Benoni. Oh, my laptop is still having a stroke. Yeah, certain keys don't work at times. It's very annoying when I'm trying to be a chess author as well. With e4. Okay, let's leave it at that. Nice. Okay, let's have a quick look at these other games. I like c4 from Faz, right? b3 makes the bishop stronger, right? I mean, I have seen some Benoni positions where white can play b3 and just remove everything from the long diagonal, and then the bishop is kind of staring at nothing. Are you finding people for 90-30? Can I play on Sunday? I am looking for players for 90-30, but I am trying my best to find players stronger than myself. Now, Lucas, I know that your prep is pretty insane, so I am also curious to play you and come up against some ridiculous prep. But this month I might already have my spots filled up because I've got Mr. Dodgy, probably Evgeny will get sorted, and playing these 2 rapid tournaments plus rapid games against Steven. Yeah, this is a lot of chess. But yeah, I will definitely consider the option, Lucas, and I'll think about it for sure. Welcome, Fritz, to the stream. How's it going? Yeah, life is pretty good. We're taking a look at Polugaevsky's games, and if you know nothing about Polugaevsky, definitely check out the start of the stream or the previous stream for some more insight. So yeah, let's take a look at one more Polugaevsky game. So we get the Benoni start again, as I spoke about at the start. This is definitely the preferred move order in today's day and age. But okay, bishop g7. And bishop d3, right. So this line is not... this is the wrong move order for this bishop d3 move. Because if you want to play bishop d3 successfully, you should actually play it here before black has this chance to pin your knight. And the best move order to play is to actually play h3 here. This is a really nice move order in the Benoni because you kind of get to this this main line where black hasn't been able to play bishop g4. Whereas if you play knight f3, you're basically hoping that your opponent doesn't know to play bishop g4 and can just play with this. And we get a transposition. But you basically just give yourself more to learn, and it's also inaccurate. So this is the correct move order if you want to play this. But yeah, he plays bishop d3 here, and actually plays with bishop f4. How interesting. This isn't a line that I ever see, and I wonder if I would even ever get into this line. Let's imagine that they play... Let's imagine that they play bishop d3 here. I play bishop g7, and they play bishop f4 with this move order. And I castle, and they play knight f3 here. I guess this is something I could get. I mean, this is a transposition, right? Yeah. If this was a position, I would just play bishop g4 in a heartbeat and be very happy here. I mean, there's no queen a4 ideas with knight d2. I mean, this is just good. And okay, this is actually what we get in the game. I mean, this is why I never see this, because it's just not good, right? a6, a4, bishop g4. And for sure, black is doing completely fine here. But okay, in fairness, this is the 1950s. Players didn't understand these lines as well as they do now. And here, as a plan, I would play queen e7, knight d7, rook b8, and play for b5. That would be my game plan. We see queen c7 here. Now, actually, queen c7 might even be better than queen e7, because I'm remembering I did some analysis of a position like this in the past. And with the bishop on e2, the queen on e7 is better for two reasons. First of all, the queen is just generally better on e7. It's got like some flexibility to the king side. It pressures the center. And the bishop on e2 blocks a potential rook coming down to pressure our queen. The reason why the queen is better on c7 when the bishop's on d3 is firstly, well, okay, yeah, because the bishop's not on e2, there could be some pressure on our queen. And second of all, when the bishop is on d3, there is a maneuver for white to put the queen back on e2 and prevent black from getting in c4. And when you put the queen on e7, this is actually quite an effective way. Even if you have a rook on c8, you can't really get in c4. So the queen on c7 is actually useful here, because if white plays queen e2, well, we can play a rook on c8 and play c4. So this is the idea of the queen on c7. I've looked at this subtlety, and I think queen on c7 might be better. So maybe queen c7, knight d7, rook b8, and play for b5. So my only downside with the queen on c7 is that with the queen on e7, with a knight on d7 and a rook on b8, I can play knight e8, knight c7 to help with b5. And well, obviously with the queen on c7, you can't do that. So it's pros and cons, really. Pros and cons. I mean, with the queen on c7, then probably we want to play a plan of putting the rook on c8 and playing for a quick c4. I think that's probably going to be the way to go. Lucas says it's the New York variation. By saying New York variation low, I assume that you're saying it like as if like I don't know the line. I mean, I do know the line. It's just you don't really play it with bishop f4 and knight f3. Is bishop g5 annoying to deal with in those structures if you play queen e7? Bishop g5, well, my normal reaction to bishop g5 is h6 g5, but here it's probably a favorable situation because I can't play knight h5 and pick up the bishop. Firstly, you can move. Secondly, it's hanging. But yeah, so maybe it is a little bit annoying. I mean, my initial instinct is that it's not. I feel like if you waste the tempo with bishop g5, I can always waste the tempo. I can also play with the knight on d7 and try and, play queen f8 or something and get out of a pin. Like, it's really not that big a deal. I mean, I'm defending it twice, right? So if white can do something immediately with some e5 move and bring a knight to e4 or something, then maybe. But otherwise, I'm probably chilling. I'm probably not so concerned. So queen c7 was played. g4 feels completely wrong. I don't know what I would play with white. I'd probably just play it chill with queen e2. I mean, let's check with Engine. What is Engine saying? So Engine is saying queen e7 and queen c7. This is the joy of the Benoni. There are many ways to play it. Very difficult to prep against. As Lucas found out, he tried to prep my Benoni, and I just got a winning position after like 10, 15 moves. I don't know when. Oh, you just meant it was a funny name? Okay. I'm being too defensive. I mean, recently I made 2 Reddit posts that were kind of controversial, and both of them got more downvotes than upvotes. And why am I even mentioning this? I'm just, I think, in a defensive mood. So apologies, Lucas, for assuming. But yeah, in this position, yeah, clearly g4 is the wrong way to go. Queen e2, also decent. Yeah, castle seems very, very reasonable. Yeah, queen g3 is an idea, and sometimes as well when the queen is on these squares, like you can sometimes get away with this. Actually, what happens if this gets played now? Knight h5. Right. And knight g3, we hit the rook, right? We can take on h1. Also, queen b6 is playable. And then I guess you have to play an awkward queen h2, and yeah, you've got some ideas, right? And this is why you can never play chess with a king in the center like this. So after castles, knight d7, I did see a line where queen g3 was played. Ah, yes, I remember looking into these lines. Oh, this brings back some memories. Yeah, bishop e2. What an interesting idea. So if bishop e2 is played, the idea is that you're trying to tee up this queen g3 so that you can meet this with taking and then taking, right? But it's also not easy to play because, you know, we're also trying to counteract these moves, and generally the bishop wants to go on h2 and play f4. So, you know, very, very nuanced stuff. So only understanding will help you here. No engine preparation is going to save you. But yeah, he goes for g4 with the idea of stopping knight h5. That's so cool. But I also like how Polugaevsky deals with it, right? He plays the move knight e8 and also prepares to move knight e5, and we can't drop the bishop back. So really interesting play. We don't get a knight e5 probably because white is going to play bishop e2 and play f4, and then we waste the tempo. So instead Polugaevsky plays rook b8. I'm surprised that white doesn't just go ham with f4. Maybe it's just a bit too loose. Let's check these moves with an engine. So yeah, knight e5 is not played here. Bishop e2 indeed, with f4 probably to come. c4 is what engine suggests with the ugly a5. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I'm glad engine stopped suggesting a5, or maybe I misread it. Oh, a5 for white, right. That makes a lot more sense. I was going to say, like, a5 is ridiculous here. But yeah, rook b8 trying to prepare b5, a5 to stop it, b5 anyway, very typical. Very, very typical. Yes, it makes sense. Like why play rook b8 when we can play c4 immediately? And actually, yeah, I really like this move from white that engine is recommending. I mean, this is actually a typical way to play in the reverse Benoni. It's kind of like an unambitious move. As you can see here, black is like equalizing, but it also prevents white's plan of like c4, b5. So it's definitely playable. Instead we get h4. Wow, going for this kind of kingside attack. You don't see this often in the Benoni. But it kind of makes sense because black doesn't really have time to play rook e8 and knight f8. I kind of rate it. But now black starts his queenside counterplay. It looks like he's pretty quick as well. AB, h5, that's the spirit. b4, that's the spirit. Knight d1. And here, yeah, I can completely understand not going greedy with bishop takes b2, given that white keeps the dark squared bishop, right? Like I know c3 is the idea, but is this stuff not something to be afraid of? Oh, and this guy is hanging as well. Maybe even a queen trade is on the cards. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I can see how this goes wrong, right? So knight e5 is played instead. f4 is played. c3, all hell breaking loose. Knight c4, and white messes up in the complications. Yeah, not surprised. And yeah, very cool idea to see this as well. Actually, not to take the natural h takes. The problem being is that we have two targets to worry about. Whereas actually f takes, we only have one target, and also, yeah, on queen h3, I guess we can move the bishop somewhere. Yeah, even take this. What a move. Even I assume bishop h8 should be fine. Or are we going to get hit by bishop takes g6? Yeah, this is a problem. Yeah. Wow, so bishop takes e5 is necessary, but what goes on after this? And by keeping the bishop here, we keep tabs on this square, and if they take, then somehow we win. The king needs to move somewhere. Oh, and we're actually checkmating first. Yeah, this is a wild position. Yeah. I mean, you don't see these kind of attacks so often nowadays, because objectively they're normally not good, but still it kind of leads to a very interesting game where both sides need to play very precisely. But I kind of enjoy these opposite side castles attacks. And I'm really surprised black didn't just trade queens here. Oh, I'm being dumb. There's a knight here. I was gonna say if this was forced, I think this would be a really decent way to go. Because like, you know, we neutralize the attack and we have a small advantage. So probably that's reasonable, except it hangs a queen. So don't play this. But yeah, queen f4, then takes an h6 as a way to defend. Okay, that's good to see. Yeah, and very cute that, h6 is played as soon as the king blocks the bishop. This is, of course, some genius play. I'm very surprised not to see h5. What am I missing here? h5, probably am I getting wrecked here? Queen check? I can imagine I'm getting wrecked here with queen takes g6. Is that the problem? Yeah, queen e6. Oh, so here to defend, if king h8, then queen g6. Yeah, exactly. So rook b4 was played, and now we hunt for king. King h8, and not in time, and we end up having some beautiful checkmate, which was missed, but it doesn't matter because this wins as well. Wow, what a game. What a game. With checkmate in one hanging in so many ways, but white is forced to resign. I mean, honestly, huge respect to Bjorn, if that's how you pronounce his name, for going for such an ambitious, aggressive line. I mean, you didn't have chess engines back in the 1950s to tell you what you were doing was wrong, so I doubt, there was any fear about playing in such a way. But g4, I actually really am glad to have seen. Like, it's multi-purpose, right? It stops this knight h5 plan, which is normally a bit annoying. And yeah, good for me to be reminded about these two options here. Yeah, if queen e7 and they play for the same plan, do I need to be careful here or not? Like, if they play queen g3, yeah, knight e8 again is playable with knight e5 coming. But again, why can't they play bishop e2 here? Is there a difference? Oh, g5. Ah, g5. How cool. Oh, such a nice move. I mean, my only fear in this position is, can they reroute a knight to f5? Let's have a look. So knight g6, knight d1. Oh, we're just hanging a pawn. So okay, let's say they play like this. Bishop e5. I guess we're attacking on the dark squares first, right? Yeah, we're attacking on the dark squares. It takes a long time, and we can always play knight g7 to cover the square. So yeah, it seems really decent, actually. Seems really decent. So yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see. So we've got knight on e5. We can play g5, play knight g6, knight f4, put a bishop on e5. Yeah, that looks really good. And we also get a tempo on the bishop on the queen on g3. Yeah, so this looks lovely. So okay, good to be reminded of all these motifs. And actually, I'm remembering now that this line can actually come up from a different move order that I play, which is here if a6, a4, bishop g4, h3 takes, we get the same position where, yeah, bishop g7, bishop d3, right? And this was where I was looking at these different ideas of these two moves. And bishop f4, right? And here are these different options. So queen c7, play it like Polugaevsky, queen e7, slightly more modern, but it all surrounds by this whole kind of fiasco here. So good to be reminded by this. Yeah, just to see the game one more time. How did it go? So queen c7 was chosen, knight 8 was played, rook b8, and then we get this whole queenside, kingside kind of play where Polugaevsky plays it like a beast and just about gets away with it. But yeah, really, really fun game. Really cool game. Hard work from Harshville? Yes, indeed. I used to follow Tau games in Benoni. I mean, Tau games in Benoni are pretty insane. Like, they're way more tactical, way less strategical. So I think for me, it's probably less beneficial than looking at some Polugaevsky games. But yeah, let's make a note of this. So this is actually Benoni h3, bishop takes f3 line with bishop d3. Yeah, I mean, it came from a different move order, but that's effectively what it is. Okay, let's have a very, very speedy look at this final line. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. g6 is always played, and then you decide what to play. And bishop g7 is what I play here as well. And what are we going to see? Rook e8 is now the main line. Knight a6, yeah. This is also played in the past. What would I do here? I mean, it depends how I want to play it. There are many ways I can play it. But yeah, knight a6, let's have a look at how he plays it. And that's the issue with knight a6. Against this knight d2 plan, I much prefer to play this idea of something like this, right? Basically, to play like this. And when they put lots of pressure here, just go for this pawn structure. I really like this idea and put the knight on d6. I really like this plan, but of course, you can't play this because you need the knight on e5. And knight a6 means that, if white plays this idea, yeah, you can't put a knight on e5, right? The knight is like different here. So let's see how he plays it. He plays with b6 here. Very interesting. With bishop a6, sure. Takes and gets this structure. How interesting. I mean, at first glance, I feel like this is good for white in the sense that white can try and like undermine this. So what is Polugaevsky's plan? So he develops the rest of his pieces. Plays with a6 here. I'm really surprised not to see like some kind of maneuver back to c5. Goes to b5. Yeah, I guess he got in b5 in the end. So kind of confused from the play from both players here. Like here, I would be really looking to try and get a5 in. So why is a5 not working? Am I losing the pawn? I am losing the pawn. So this defends the pawn. And why not like a5 now? Like it is a move by engine, so it's not crazy. Maybe there's some like concrete stuff, like knight a6 is like, because maybe this is a bit loose. Yeah, like there's gonna be some problems here. Yeah, rook c8 and how you defending everything, right? So, yeah. Yeah, so black manages to get in b5. Very interesting. Yeah, I guess this is one more way I can play this structure against the fianchetto. And like if you compare this to like Tao's games in Benoni, like Tao and like Kasparov would be playing like knight f5, g5, sacrificing pieces on the king side. But yeah, this is a very different way to play Benoni, which I can kind of respect. So he manages to get in b5. Allows the knight into a5, but the bishop on a8 is somehow protecting quite well. You get this complete mess. That's one thing I am noticing about Polugaevsky play. He does play it like really concretely well. Like when it gets messy, he's finding like some really tough moves. Yeah, and we get some crazy final position where black ends up being fine. That's kind of cool. So okay, maybe if I'm in doubt in this position and I'm looking for something, I can try this line. b6 here, yeah. And again, it's engine proof, right? Like Polugaevsky really put a lot of study in, really understood these positions very well. Yeah, and engine is completely fine with this play. It's like giving white nothing here, which is very promising. Oh, good to see knight a6 get a shout out and bring the knight to c5. I mean, this is what I was recommending here, right? So good to see that that's the case. But yeah, playing in this way is good. Wow, and even some tactics here. What on earth is this tactic? Knight f takes d5. Huh? So we take and then what? Queen a4 with like some, I don't even know. What the hell is this? On b3. Yeah, we can understand why Polugaevsky missed this. This is some insane line. But yeah, fair enough. So what? Somehow the knight on c3 is a little bit awkward here. And what if they play knight b1? We can still do the same, but different. So knight c takes d5 this time is working. I'm sure Polugaevsky probably looked at this stuff, but... And again, this knight is actually really awkward. I've never seen this idea, actually. When the knight is... and then we've got like some very precise knight d5. Yeah, got to be very accurate to see this. But I guess, like, yeah, whenever you play with b5, the knight can come into a5. Sometimes it's annoying, but I guess it can also be a target due to this motif. Yeah, good to see this. Yeah, okay, so this is Benoni g3. Benoni g3 with b6. Okay, and let's have a very, very final quick look at this final game. Just because we've got one final game left, and I don't want this Polugaevsky study to drag on too long. I can't keep making excuses not to train my woodpecker. So, okay, so we see this New York variation again. And again, yeah, the precise move here would be to play h3. Again, castles just allows bishop g4. And it's very funny to see these players not play like this. I mean, probably back then, you know, they rated this bishop pair more than engines and top players do nowadays in this Benoni. But yeah, we get this interesting position where now we can't put the queen on e7 or c7. And we also don't get the chance to play bishop g4 now. So this has gone horribly wrong in my mind. And yeah, black is already having to play some awkward moves like knight a6. But actually, this is kind of a cool idea against this structure, right? To play for knight b4. And actually, the point is that, you know, right now there's no square on b4 because of the a3 pawn. But as soon as the a4 has been played, actually we can go for this. It's a very interesting idea here. And that's the joy of the Benoni as well. Like, it's deceivingly closed in the sense that you can actually take your time to, like, maneuver and you don't have to play so directly. Plays b6 here. I'd always play b5. Like, why would you ever play b6? But okay, you get the trade anyway. The knight comes back to f6. We start to reroute the knight. We get some crazy tactics. Fair enough. And we get some counter crazy tactics. Wow. You can't take the knight? Why can't you take the knight? Is this just like an unstoppable threat? The hell is this? I guess this is also maybe dangerous in some lines. Oh no, maybe it's just picking up the bishop. Yeah, I bet it's probably just picking up the bishop, right? Just give a check and then take this. Let's check with an engine. So if they take, which is actually top move, queen d4. Yeah. Queen d4 is best, so I'm glad I saw this. Yeah, we take here. Yeah, that is the idea. And queen f3. Apparently it's just a draw. Oh, we've got this perpetual idea as well, right? So even if they stop this plan, this is apparently a draw. Yeah, this is like keeping the king in. So, yeah, that's crazy how this completely turned around. And yeah, this sacrifice was just not working. So yeah, a huge respect to Polugaevsky for being able to calculate all of these sacrifices cleanly. Just win the game. And then basically just like control the game and then just like calmly convert the position. So yeah, this is very cool. And then just pushes the a-pawn. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice game again. Yeah, so this is a cool idea. And I really like how he's like playing so principally here. Develops all of the minor pieces, puts the knight back. Yeah, b5 is always slightly better, but whatever. Can't fault him too much. Put the bishop on b5. Just brilliant, brilliant game. So very interesting that this is another way we can play. We can put the knight on c7. We're not getting like hit immediately. Like what if knight d2? Here, okay, knight h5, fair enough. So what if they play like h3? And we can try and play b5 again with these kind of liquidating ideas. Very interesting. So I never realized you can actually play this knight c7 in this kind of line. Although I'm probably not going to get this exact move order. But it's definitely cool as an idea to actually bait a4. Put the knight back on b4. Yeah. And that's why actually, like, I think the sacrifice just didn't work for white. Because black's position is so well principled. I mean, look at these pieces. They're all on perfect squares. Like, a sacrifice like this to work is, like, really ambitious. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, like, it looks like they've won 2 pawns, but black's pieces are just lovely here. So it makes sense that black has winning ideas as well. So yeah, this is Benoni. Let's put, like, dealing with a piece. Piece sack. Yeah. And on that note, guys, that concludes all of Polugaevsky's Benoni games, at least after the move knight c3. I think there were some Benoni games maybe after knight f3 and c5, which maybe I can look at some point. But yeah, I definitely think this exercise was good. We also had this early e5 push, which was really good to remind ourselves about. And let's just do a final memory test to make sure that we've got that line under grips, just so that we never forget this ever again. And this is this line. Welcome Jan to the stream, by the way. The king looks dead there after you take on f3. I'm surprised there's defense. Yeah, apparently lots of defenses. I mean, attacking chess is hard, right? And e5, right? And in this position, Polugaevsky's move was knight fd7, allowing either knight b5 or knight e4, which transposed to the same thing after takes and takes. This is the same thing. And then the point was in this position, the old main line was d6, where Polugaevsky had a game. Knight f3 was the new main line. On d6, the point is that we move our king. Now, where did Polugaevsky move it? Was it d8? No, was it f8? I don't remember. I think f8 made sense. We're going to manually castle very slow. And the point being is that we can now play knight c6. And this was the real point. And on bishop c4, there was like this knight b6 idea. And e4, and then there was this a knight g5 move where basically f5 was a move. I remember this, and knight e5. There was this. I think c4 immediately was just really strong, with ideas to just like take here. And I think queen f5 was played, and then Polugaevsky went on to win. I think this was the game. Yeah, and then knight f3 was the new main line. You can't play knight c6, so therefore we play rook e8 to try and get castled. And then I think white takes, and we take. And then they attack our rook, in which we block. And then here they took the knight, and then this was the key moment where you want to play king f8, revealing this pressure. And then we can take with the rook. They can attack us. We play rook f5. They gave us a check, we move, and this was just equal. And this was the best white could do, where we have this interesting position where we've got pawn up against bishop pair, but I found that this position was just like very playable. We have this bishop, we have this open g file to make use of. Like, I would fancy this position. So I actually think we remembered everything there. I think maybe there was some like alternatives, like at this moment. What else could they play? I think if they ever play this bishop, this was just like some nothing move. We could even kick. We could even play king f8. I think this was just trash. And if they take with the knight here, I think we looked at this as well. I think we can just play king f8 immediately, and this is already very good. And if bishop here, I think we're already in time. I want to say we can take this some way. Maybe we can even take with the bishop here. That's my guess. So let's check with an engine. Did I get all of this correct? Queen c8, d6, king f8, correct. Yeah, knight c6 was Polugaevsky's move as opposed to the complicated e4, so we rate this. Yeah, and this f5 also was good. Yeah, this is all good. So yeah, if ever anyone springs this on me in future, yeah, a6 was just fine, which is what I was saying. Knight e5, knight takes. Knight takes is even better. But yeah, this was, I think, what I actually looked at. I think this is what I studied. And bishop takes is just fine. Yeah. And takes. Okay, we got everything. And then let's just double check the main line. Was this completely good? Yeah, no, the main line was definitely right. Yeah, this was fine. This is fine. Okay, awesome. So, this is why we study players from the 1950s who are extremely good analytical players, who don't just memorize engine theory like I did just now. But actually, play moves that make sense, and this meant that now I actually have a much better line. There's knight fd7 as opposed to like remembering some complicated d takes e5. So you can learn a lot from these old players. And yeah, we learned a lot here. Like had all kinds of ideas. Oh yeah, this bishop d7, bishop e8, bishop g6 line. This was a really cool idea. In this d6 line and this bishop b5. Yeah, we revised our understanding of queen h4. I beat a player online recently with this line. This was good. Yeah, and then this discussion. what was this? Rather than push c4 immediately provokes weaknesses in white's camp, it's about when c4 comes, it comes much stronger. Yeah, so we create some weaknesses and then push c4. Yeah, that was a very cool game. Why did I write Troptard? The hell was Troptard? Oh no, that was the annotations, right? This was an annotated game. Okay, that's probably some French pronunciation I just butchered. But yeah, screw the French. And on that note, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day. So welcome Sasara to the stream as well. And yeah, this was very cool. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed some Polugaevsky. And yeah, probably Monday we do some Woodpecker or some 7 Deadly Sins. I did study some 7 Deadly Sins on Wednesday actually, on that day that I wasn't streaming any chess, and learned some very interesting things as well about like draw offers and like mindsets to do with draw offers, which I won't get into now. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day, guys. So thank you for watching and see you guys on Monday. Okay, adios.